Hello and welcome back to our Literature channel's UGC NET Literature Concepts and Terms series. Today we are diving deep into another essential concept that frequently appears in UGC NET Literature exams. This concept falls under our Critical Theory and Thinkers cluster. In this comprehensive 10-minute breakdown, we will explore speech acts, a revolutionary theoretical framework that transform our understanding of language as action. We'll uncover how this concept, developed by philosophers J.L. Austin and John Searle, who has fundamentally changed linguistic philosophy and literary analysis from mere description to dynamic performance. So, what you will discover in this complete video is that the precise definition of speech acts, its theoretical development from Austin to Searle, the revolutionary shift from language as description to language as performance. You'll be seeing classical examples including performative utterances and illocutionary acts. At the end, you'll be seeing a quick quiz to test your understanding. You'll also find key insights for your UGC NET preparation. This critical theory concept falls under our crucial critical theory and thinkers cluster. So if you're preparing for UGC NET literature, this is content you simply cannot miss. Make sure to subscribe to Literature channel for more UGC NET literature terms and concepts series. And watch the complete video to master this important topic that could make the difference in your exam performance. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest literature breakdowns. Let's unlock the secrets of speech acts together. Let's examine the term speech acts. The term refers to the idea that speaking is not merely saying something, but also doing something. Speech act theory emerged during the mid 20th century as part of the linguistic turn in philosophy, specifically within ordinary language philosophy of the 1950s and 1960s. It has since influenced fields ranging from literary criticism and linguistics to sociology and law. The concept was first systematically introduced by British philosopher J.L. Austin in his William James Lectures at Harvard University in 1955, later published posthumously as How to Do Things with Words in the year 1962. Austin's student John Searle significantly expanded and formalized the theory in his work Speech Acts, an essay in the philosophy of language, published in the year 1969, establishing it as a foundational concept in pragmatics and linguistic philosophy. Simply put, speech act theory proposes that when we speak, we are not just communicating information but performing actions through our utterances. Speaking, in other words, is a form of doing. Key features of speech acts include locutionary acts, which is the basic act of saying something meaningful, the utterance itself. Illocutionary acts, which is what we do in saying something, like promising, warning, requesting. Perlocutionary acts, the effects produced by saying something, which is like persuading, frightening, etc. Performative utterances, which are statements that perform the action they describe. I promise. Felicity conditions, which are requirements for a speech act to be successfully performed. Conventional force, the social power that makes speech acts effective. Indirect speech acts, which is when illocutionary force differs from the literal meaning. For UGC NET, remember that Austin initially distinguished between constative utterances, which is to describe reality, and performative utterances, which is doing things. But developed the later, more comprehensive three-level theory of locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts. Let's explore how the concept of speech acts has been employed in critical theory and literature. J. Austin's classical examples of performative utterances include I do in a wedding ceremony, I named the ship Queen Elizabeth during a christening, and I bet you sixpence it will rain tomorrow. In these cases, the utterance itself constitutes the action being performed rather than describing a pre existing reality. Austin emphasized that speech acts depend on felicity conditions, appropriate circumstances for their successful performance. For an example, saying, I now pronounce you married is only effective when uttered by an authorized person in the proper context. Austin writes, it is always necessary that the circumstances in which the words are uttered should be in some way or ways appropriate. John Searle categorized speech acts into 5 types: assertives, directives, commissives, expressives, and declarations. Searle's taxonomy systematized Austen's more exploratory approach. In literature, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet illustrates speech acts when Juliet says, Wherefore art thou Romeo? This is not merely a question about location, but performs multiple acts: lamenting, wishing, questioning identity, and social convention. Literary theorist J. Hillis Miller applied speech act theory to narrative in Speech Acts in Literature, published in the year 2001, arguing that novels perform complex speech acts through their narrators and characters while simultaneously representing them. Judith Butler's influential gender performativity theory draws on Austen's work, proposing that gender is constituted through repeated performative acts, including speech acts. In Excitable Speech, published in the year 1997, Butler examines how speech acts can construct and wound objects. Jacques Derrida critiqued Austen in Signature Event Context, published in the 1972, questioning the stability of context and intention in determining a speech act's meaning. Derrida emphasized the iterability of signs, which is their capacity to be repeated in new contexts beyond the speaker's control. Now let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. According to speech act theory, which statement is more accurate? Option A, the meaning of a speech act is determined solely by the literal meaning of the words used, independent of context or social conventions. Option B, the meaning of a speech act depends on both linguistic content and contextual factors, including social conventions and the speaker's intentions. Take a moment to think about it. You may pause the video if you want, and the answer is B. Both Austen and Searle emphasize that speech acts derive their force not just from linguistic meaning, but from social conventions, speaker intentions, and contextual appropriateness. Austen specifically rejected the view that meaning could be reduced to literal semantic content, arguing that the occasion of an utterance matters seriously and that speech acts are conventional acts. Option A represents precisely the view that speech act theory was developed to challenge. Remember, speech acts in Austen and Searle's theory refer to the idea that speaking is also a form of doing, as detailed in their influential works, How to Do Things with Words and Speech Acts. For your UGC NET exam, be prepared to identify the different types of speech acts and their significance in linguistic philosophy. Questions shown in the video may or may not have been directly questioned in the UGC NET examination. I suggest and request that audience cross-verify the number of instances each term or concept appears. If there is an error, please check the description box for corrections. In our next video, we'll explore another important concept from our cluster. Thank you very much for watching Literature channel and your support. Please feel free to comment below on any queries you may have about the terms and the video. See you in the next video. Happy learning.